welcome everybody to the February 16th meeting of the Parks, Recreation, and Greenway Advisory Board. We have a new member to introduce. Would you like to, this is Shangwen Liu, and will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hello, can you hear me? Okay, you can hear me. Hello, I'm Shangwen. Excuse me. I'm so glad to join here and contribute more to our resident and the city. I am a landscape architect working in design workshop, so I'm really care about the city, the park system, and how that will benefit the resident. So I'm so glad this opportunity, and hope we'll contribute more. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Do we have any public comments, requests? 3 minutes of... Nope, no one here to comment tonight. All right, they're all at home watching. The Raleigh Youth Council.
Hi, I'm Cordelia McKelvey. I've seen you guys a few times. Just wanted to give you a few quick updates on what we've been up to. This weekend we have our conference coming up. It's the Team Building and Leadership Conference, and it's going to be Olympic themed. So we're going to have a variety of team building and leadership based activities that also are like kind of sporty to make sure everyone stays engaged and they can have fun with it and make friends. We're going to have an element about Black History Month as one of the activities and try to incorporate some history about the John Chavis Memorial Park building and the history associated with that center. We're really excited that we have 60 teens from various councils attending. This is the first team building and leadership conference that's been in person since the pandemic, so it's definitely going to be a lot more fun than doing it virtual because we'll have food and it'll be easy to make friends, so very exciting. And we're going to be able to highlight various parks, including John Chavis Memorial Park, like I mentioned, and then we'll have them go to Pullen Park and just around the city so they'll get to experience some of Raleigh. This month, our drive is collecting canned goods. Last night, we actually volunteered at the Food Bank of Central and Eastern North Carolina to bag sweet potatoes. We volunteered for 2 hours. It went by super fast, a lot of fun. We had some members bring a friend, and we got to just hang out with each other and make sure we're working toward this month's goal. I'm also very excited to share that I was selected for the Fred Fletcher Award. I'm looking forward to sharing that with the rest of my council and hope it inspires some of my fellow RYC members to keep volunteering and see that they make a difference. So that's what's going on with the Raleigh Youth Council.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We're always inspired by you all's energy and activity. The next thing on the agenda tonight was to be the park master planning and community engagement, but you all got an email from Stephen earlier. We have two staff members who are going to be doing the presentation who are out sick, and so didn't make sense to go ahead with the principals. So we will postpone that and do that in March. But we do get to learn about the aquatic division. And so, okay, great.
I'm going to take a little professional liberty before she ducks out of here. What she didn't share, our RYC representative, is that she'll be interviewing tomorrow with NC State for the Park Scholarship Program. So that is the caliber of folks that we have involved in the Raleigh Youth Council. So we're super excited for her, on top of being a Fletcher Award winner. I'm not sure which one's better, but they're both really good. So we wish her the best tomorrow. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Ken Hissler. I'm one of the assistant directors in Parks and Recreation. I'm glad to be here tonight. So we've got a little time before we get into summer, and working with Stephen, we're going to do a little series here over the next 4 months of introducing you to a little bit more breadth and depth of the Recreation Division. 135 full-time employees, about 15 different program areas that are really specific into different aspects of how we deliver recreational leisure services and programs across the city. So I thought we would start out as we get into our busy season, highlighting some of those that you hear about, but you may not get as much information. So I will let you know, we're going to start with aquatics tonight. And one of the reasons is, we were very, there was very much conversation last year about aquatics. We'll just leave it at that. But it was good, and part of that is also always learning for me as well. So there's a lot of things that I do know after being with the department for a lot of years, but there's a lot I don't. And so we have an incredible staff that are going to give you about a 15, 20-minute presentation tonight on the aquatics program. They will be available to take staff. So it's my pleasure to introduce Aaron Weaver, who is our aquatics program director, Billy Albert, who is one of our recreation superintendents, and I'm going to let them talk about the expertise that they have and how we serve folks here in the city of Raleigh. And with that, I'll turn it over to you guys.
Okay, so as Ken said, my name is Billy Abbott. I'm one of the recreation superintendents. Aaron Weaver is our aquatics program director. And what we're going to do is just start off talking about the facilities we have. We have 4 year-round facilities: Buffalo Road Aquatic Center, which opened in 2012, Millbrook Aquatic Center in 1986, and 2007-2008 timeframe, we took that from being a seasonal pool that was only open in the summer, and we put a permanent structure over it, so now we're able to use that year-round. Optimus Aquatic Center is a 50-meter pool in North Raleigh. It used to have the bubble, so the inflatable bubble. You see them on tennis courts and pools a lot. During the same time when Millbrook got their permanent structure, we renovated that to put a permanent fabric structure over that one. And then Pool and Aquatic Center was built in '92, and we did a big renovation in 2018 and 2019 addressing the pool shell, pool systems, HVAC units, new roof on the building, just kind of all sorts of things for a 30-year-old building at that time. In the summertime, we run 4 additional seasonal facilities, so we'll ramp up to 8 pools that we're staffing during the summer. Biltmore Hills Pool and Ridge Road Pool are kind of twin buildings. They were both built in 1983. The bathhouses themselves are almost identical. The pools themselves are almost identical. And in 2018, between the 2018 summer season and 2019 summer season, we did a renovation to replace the pool liner and redo the gutter systems at those pools. At that time at Biltmore Hills Pool, we removed an old wading pool and inserted a splash ground for kids that can play in without any standing water. Lake Johnson and Longview were built in '84, and they're also twin pools. Again, the buildings are very, very similar. The pool layouts are pretty close. Lake Johnson, we added a spray ground feature in the early 2000s, and then both have a wading pool there for them for the younger users to enjoy. So just some facts about our pools that we manage. So we have over 2.6 gallons of water when we're got all 8 pools going between our different bodies of water, 82,000 square feet of water that our lifeguards are responsible for observing and being vigilant and keeping an eye on. To take care of that water, all of our full-time aquatic staff, and I'll give you an overview of that in a future slide, and many of our part-time staff as well as our maintenance staff are all certified pool operators. That's a national exam they go through, as well as a county exam that they have to pass. And they're checking the water for us every 2 hours, which is above the requirements to make sure all the chemicals are in balance. And just another fact that's not on the screen, in a year we use over 20,000 gallons of liquid chlorine as our primary disinfectant. So as the summer season ramps up and you see the stories about lifeguard shortages nationwide and locally, the last couple of years there's been stories about the chlorine shortage. We haven't been affected by that because we use liquid chlorine. Typically, those stories are relating to the tablets that you might use in a smaller commercial pool or a backyard pool. So knock on wood, other than supply chain issues, the chlorine has not been an issue for us. During the winter season, so kind of working our way towards staffing, during the winter season as of right now, at any one moment in time to have all of our doors open, to not turn anybody away due to capacity limits beyond fire codes, we need 21 lifeguards in lifeguard stands at one time, plus guards on backup to be able to give them all a break so they can remain vigilant. In the summer season, that ramps up to 88 guards at one time. Optimist and Millbrook have outdoor amenities that add to their bodies of water to guard in the summertime, and then the multiple bodies at our seasonal pools. Annually, we're operating over 18,000 hours a year. We do close each of our pools once a year for the year-round pools to do maintenance. Our Parks Division has an aquatics maintenance team with 5 full-time staff. So our staff being the certified pool operators, they'll check the chemicals, they'll do very light maintenance, but when it becomes a problem, we work with the aquatic maintenance team, and they take care of our buildings, everything from the pool pumps, motors, chemical controllers, all the way out to fixing light switches and electrical outlets. They're skilled in all the trades. We're very fortunate to have them. Let's see if there's anything else. Just for hours during the winter, we're open 325 hours a week across our 4 pools. In the summer, that goes up to 614 hours that we're open to the public. Yes.
Last year there was some adjusted hours, is that right? Is that for like normally what you're saying, or does that take into account the adjusted hours?
When the numbers I'm giving you are if we can get to our staffing level, which we'll talk about what that is. So right now, if I can come back to that, I'll tell you what our ideal staffing level is. An average schedule for us during the week for our year-round pools is 5:30 in the morning till 8 at night. Plus on the weekends, we reduce those hours a little bit. Our seasonal pools, we aim for about 10 hours in everything's good scenario, either a 9 to 7 or a 10 to 8. We adjust that based off our user groups and the neighborhoods that they're in and what the public has been responsive to. So I referenced the maintenance closures. These take place in August to October. They're typically between 3 to 4 weeks in length. It's based off any known projects we have that are kind of backlogging for maintenance that needs to be done. This gives us time, if needed, to drain and fill the pools. If any of you have filled a backyard pool, imagine filling an Olympic-sized pool at Poland. It takes a while. Typically, the way we schedule these is we start in August because we still have our seasonal pools open. So while we're closing down a body of water, we still have amenities available to the public. Also, one of our big user groups are the competitive swim teams in the area, USA swimming teams. August is kind of the off season for competitive swimming, so their demand goes down. And then we're working to get done by the end of October because that's when our high school teams come in addition to all the competitive swim teams. So we host multiple Wake County Public High School swim practices, as well as some private and charter schools in the area. And then we slide Buffalo to February because while it only has 3 swim lanes, we do host Knightdale High School, does their high school practice there. So once the season ends last week, the high school season wrapped up. We're going into our maintenance closure this week for Buffalo, and they'll be closed. That allows us to get that facility taken care of and addressed before the big ramp up for the summer season starts. And then from year to year, typically, again, I mentioned we'll try to close the big pools first while we have the outdoor pools. The order can be changed if we have capital projects that are underway with supply chains and when vendors can get their equipment. So working with our staff, in the aquatics program, there's 18 full-time staff. Aaron's the aquatic director, and then we have a full-time director for each of our 4 year-round facilities, and then a seasonal pool director that in the summertime, they're keeping eyes on those 4 seasonal pools. That's all done with the help of 11 assistant aquatic facility directors. They're spread out roughly 3 per year-round pool. Buffalo only has 2 at that location. And then we have a customer service representative that works for us in our Frank Evans office. And she does anything and everything for customers, external and internal. Added up, even with, we currently have 4 vacancies, 3 in the assistant ranks, and the 5th director is coming 2 Mondays from now on the 27th. Even with those vacancies, our staff have over 275 years of aquatic experience. So it's a very knowledgeable staff just among those full-time staff. We were surveying some of them, and the number of years they were sitting out, kind of checking birthdays. It didn't seem to add up, but they checked out. So our part-time staff, this is the big need. This is where we will take anything you want to share on personal resources, networks. Right now, currently working, we have 125 lifeguards. Our number, we're going to reference 2019 a lot. Obviously, that's pre-COVID. That's the last time we felt good about our staffing level. We had guards in every chair we needed to have them in. So our 2019 roster count of people actively working recording time was 240 guards. We're at 125 right now. So right now, if you ask us to target, it's 115, but we can do it. Also supporting our guards are 25 pool managers. There are Swiss Army knives of staff. They can lifeguard, they can cashier, they can serve in the absence of our full-time staff, nights, weekends, early morning shifts, covering meetings, the things our full-time staff are asked to do as well. We have 20 permanent part-time staff that some have officially come on board this week. Some are in the process of being recruited for. They're key for us because they're going to be allowed to work more than 1,000 hours in a year, which is a limitation our seasonal staff have to deal with. So that just lets us get a little more consistency in our staffing model, and it helps us with daytime hours a lot as well. Moving through our programming, we've got 26 water safety instructors. That's a swim instructor is the term that we would mostly use. And then we have 21 swim team coaches that help run some of our programs. So lifeguards. I mentioned we have 125 actively working. To be a lifeguard, you need to be 15 years of age. We have the SAVE program, which is the Seasonal Aquatic Vocational Education Program. Basically, we take staff in that can meet the prerequisites that I'll describe and show to you. We will teach them how to lifeguard. We will run them through the American Red Cross lifeguarding course. We just ask that they work the season for us. And it's usually not an issue. And most of our current lifeguards came through this program.
That means you pay for them to get the certification?
Yes. So if you were to walk in just not trying to be employed with us just to get a lifeguarding certification, it's $250. We cover that. All of our full-time staff are certified through the Red Cross to teach the lifeguard certification course, so that helps us keep our costs just to materials and time. So the course is a 30-hour certification course, which is a mix of in-water skills, practice, demonstration, as well as classroom, where they're learning the CPR, the first aid, AED, the rescue part of it. To go to the first day of lifeguarding class, they have to be able to swim 300 yards continuously using either a freestyle or a breaststroke, 2 minutes treading water with no hands, and a timed brick retrieval drill. And the next slide or two, we have a video showing you what those skills look like. So we talked about getting to that 240 number. So in 2022, we trained 88 lifeguards, and that was out of 207 people that applied to be a lifeguard. 42% success rate. In 2019, leading up to the season, we trained 115. So when I mentioned earlier we can do it, we can do it. We have the capacity, we have the staff to train, we just need the candidates and the applicants. Once we get them on board and trained, we do continuously do 4 hours of monthly training. They need to be rescue ready. They need to be able to, the American Red Cross standard of care is from the time a swimmer goes into distress, care is being performed within 90 seconds. There's a lot that has to happen from getting the swimmer out of the water, clearing the pool, the whole staff has to go into action. So we train every month, they practice their skills, we theme the skills based off programming that's going on to be ready for those things. And we do perform rescues. So in 2019, we had 74 water rescues. And a majority of these occurred in less than 5 feet of water. So if there's any parents here, you have younger kids, you're thinking it's a shallower end, almost all of those were in less than 5 feet of water. So it's really important to know that the staff are trained, they're diligent, and they know what they're expected to do. So this video has no sound, so you get to listen to me kind of narrate it a little bit. So we've been working on videos like this so that we can show potential candidates what they're expected to do. This drill is the brick retrieval drill. So she's swimming about 20 yards from the wall. She's about to dive down into 8 feet of water and retrieve the 10-pound brick. And so sometimes we don't realize what it's like to get the brick off the bottom of the pool. But then she has to swim back, keeping both hands on the brick. So you'll see she's got it on her chest. She's only using her legs to move through the water. This the swimmer we're seeing here, the lifeguard we're seeing here is Leanne. She's one of our staff members. She's an elite competitive swimmer, has been her whole life, swam in college, still swims masters. And when she gets out of the water, she makes this look pretty easy, but you'll see there's a little bit of a deep breath being going. As one of our best swimmers, she's going to take a little gasp here where, that wasn't easy. It was easy for her, but it wasn't easy. The next is a 300-yard swim. So this part of the video for candidates and for people that were coaching through the process, this is just demonstrating the freestyle stroke. It's swimming to most people, just in case they don't know what freestyle or breaststroke is. We've got them in the video so we can show this is the form we're looking for. Our instructors that are screening candidates are looking for them to keep their face in the water, rhythmic breathing, they're not struggling. They can also do the breaststroke, which after she turns, she'll do it. They don't have to do a competitive flip turn, then just tag the wall and turn around and go back. And so that was down one time, so she'll go down and back 12 times across that length of the pool, or 6 down and backs. To get to her 300 yards. There's no timing for it or anything. It's just complete the swim without going into distress, without hanging on the wall or the lane rope. Usually this is the drill when we get candidates that just come in. They'll get about halfway through this and they say, what other jobs do you have? We did an event at Biltmore last year where the guy made it. He made about 5 of his laps and he stopped. He said, this is for young men. What else can I do? And we redirected him to a cashiering position. And we do that often. If they want to be a lifeguard, it doesn't work. Sometimes they kind of want to lick their wounds and we'll send them to be a counselor or work at one of our lakes. So we try to make sure if they're interested in working for us, we can find them a job. And here Leanne is just demonstrating the breaststroke. Because again, some of our candidates, they might not know the swim strokes. They just want to be around water. Maybe they're interested in learning CPR first aid for a future career because it does build in lifelong skills for people. She's going to finish this drill, and then the next one, she's going to show you treading water using only her legs. She'll have her arms crossed across her chest. And again, she makes this look extremely easy. I feel like she could have like a plate with saucers or something on her head. But then we also, in the video, will go to an underwater view to help candidates that are struggling, just to say, this is a technique that may work for you. She's very efficient. Again, she's a very good swimmer. So just kind of showing the technique, because some may flail and try to kick like they were swimming, so we help coach them along. And part of that's in our recruitment. I've got it on the next slide, but I'll start talking about it while the video finishes up. So we're working on Friday nights at Pullen. We're doing pre-course swim clinics. So if you think you might want to be a lifeguard and you're not confident you can do what Leanne just did, you come. Our lifeguard instructors are there. They'll provide coaching. If you've never tried to swim down to 14 feet of water, the skills and the necessary kicks for me may be different from a different person, just their body type, composition, swim style. So these staff are there, they're coaching, they're able to help people figure out what it takes to get down to the bottom of 14 feet, get that brick, help them tread water, do the different skills. Every Friday at 5 o'clock at Pullen Aquatic Center. So in terms of recruitment, that's one effort that we're doing, is to really, and what we hope that'll do is maybe 207 applications either goes down, but our success rate goes up, or hopefully the number of applications stays the same or higher, and the success rate also goes up because we're allowing people to see what they're doing, get into it, and practice.
Is this different from what you've done in years past?
This is different. In the years
Is
past,
a new effort.
yes. In years past, what we've done is if you've come and talked to us and maybe you've gone through the screening and didn't successfully pass it, we've given them some sweet free swim passes so they can come practice. And it was kind of well, let me know when you're coming and I'll try to come out on deck and give you some pointers. Now we're saying Friday evenings at 5 o'clock, we're there to give you pointers. If you pass it, if you complete the skills, you're good to go for day one of lifeguarding class. You still have to do it again, but that kind of checks their prerequisites so we can keep them moving through the process. In addition to everything that the city does, promoting our jobs, there's magnets on the back of a lot of our maintenance vehicles. There's newsletters, social media posts. If our aquatic staff learn of a job fair and we get an invitation, we go. High schools, universities. I went to one in November at a middle school. they're not employable, but I took a big picture of our water slide and that drew them in. And then I talked to them about, you like to swim, you can get a job. So just trying to plant the seed. We're trying to get the word out, trying to let people know this is something they can get paid to do, and bleeds into medical careers or EMTs, all sorts of things. Our swim teams, I've mentioned our high school teams and our private clubs. We also have our intra-city swim team, which is like our city league or little league for swimming. We'll blast those coaches right to the edge of spam to say, hey, we're hiring. The private swim teams have been very helpful because they know they swim at those weird hours before school and after school. And if we don't have staff, sometimes their lanes are cut down or we haven't had to turn any away. We might have had to limit them a few times, but so they're invested in us having lifeguards as well. Homeschool groups, one hand you think, oh, it makes perfect sense. On the other hand, maybe it doesn't, but we've noticed some groups coming to our pools during the day, kind of recreating, and their schedules are not the traditional 7:30 to 2:30 high school schedule, so they're available. And so we've picked up a good number of staff that originated from homeschool groups, and since they've finished their schooling, they've stayed with us and continue working. School job boards. So my son's high school, I connected with the counselor basically his first week of 9th grade and said, can I send you this? So anywhere we can find a way in, we will send that information out. Active adults. We had a lot of people as we came out of COVID that maybe retired early or just found themselves with more free time, and they said, how can I help? So we kind of did a marketing campaign for our jobs, just showing different images of our lifeguards that maybe they could see like, oh, I could be a lifeguard. It's not just the traditional, what we all think of as lifeguards. We need Baywatch to become popular again. That was the heyday for lifeguards. As I get ready to hand it over to Aaron, Ken and his conversations about aquatics last year kind of summed up what we do programmatically very well. And we serve 4 communities. We have the social, recreational swimmers. We have our health and wellness participants, instructional programming and swim lessons, and then our competitive team. So we'll be here at the end to take questions if there's anything, and if not, here.
Thank you, Billy. My name's Aaron Weaver. Thank you for letting us have the opportunity to come and share with you a little bit about our aquatics program. Just a little bit about myself. I grew up in the area. I came to work for the city of Raleigh in '97, departed in about '98 to go look at the other different for-profit and nonprofit sectors. Realized I left the best place I'd ever been and got the opportunity to come back in 2005 and have been back ever since. I've been in this position as the aquatic program director for about a year, and we're definitely looking forward to how we can get things back to our pre-COVID peak and continue to grow our programs. So to talk about some of our communities, we have our social recreational swim. This is the one most people think about. I remember growing up as a kid in this area. I went to Ridge Road Pool and Lake Johnson Pool with my parents. We had fun. This is where you go in the summer. And I actually went to the old Pullen Park Pool and then guarded while I was at NC State at the new Pullen Aquatic Center. But fun is one of our department's core values. And we want the City of Raleigh pools to be a safe place where all Raleigh residents can come and have fun in the water. Here in this picture, you see some kids having fun playing over at Longview Pool. We offer recreational swim at all of our City of Raleigh facilities. Sometimes it may be limited due to what other activities are going on during the day or have specific areas of the pool that are available. But it is part of every pool's programming to make sure that we offer recreational swim throughout the day. In the 2008 bond, it funded the construction of Buffalo Road Aquatic Center. This gave Raleigh the opportunity to explore a facility design that incorporated more recreational features and kind of get outside of the traditional rectangular swimming pool box and look at new and different ways with our newest facility that we added to our inventory. Buffalo Road is a free-form pool that includes a zero-depth entry for children's area and has interactive features. It has a current channel and vortex. It has a 3-story water slide, which I think you saw at the beginning of the presentation. There's an area for water volleyball and basketball. It has a bubble bench. And we still want to make sure we're catering to our fitness swimmers. It does have 3 regulation 25-yard lanes as a part of that pool. Buffalo Road is obviously a big attraction for its recreational features, but we continue to offer many of our other programs at Buffalo Road as well, including our Learn to Swim programs. Swimming is an important life skill because swimming is one of the life skills that actually may save your life. It's important to us to make sure that we have the opportunity for every Raleigh resident that wants it to come take swim lessons at our facility and learn this life skill. We want everyone to be safe in, on, and around the water, and learning to swim is essential to that goal. The City of Raleigh offers the American Red Cross's Learn to Swim program, and in 2019, we had over 3,600 individuals enroll in our Learn to Swim program, and that's just the youth Learn to Swim program. Learn to Swim begins with our parent-child courses that start at 6 months of age. The goal for this course is introduce infants and very young children to the water in a safe, comfortable, and progressive manner. It's taught with the parent in the water. We're honestly more teaching parents than we are obviously a 6-month-old, but we're teaching parents things, for example, how to hold their children in the water, introduce putting their face in the water, getting comfortable in a body of water that's bigger than a bathtub. Different ways that they can hold the child, explore the water, and also introduce parents to some basic water safety information, especially new parents. We want them to know how to fit a life jacket properly and how to apply the life jacket. A lot of times you'll see kids with the life jacket way up here, and it's like, that's too big. We need a little smaller. We need it tight. After the parent-child course, we have our Learn to Swim programs. These are your traditional classes. We have both preschool for ages 3 to 5 and our youth programs for 6 to 12. These are basically, we're starting out by wanting them to become comfortable in the water, and then basically transition into learning the basics of locomotion, and eventually begin being able to perform each of the formal strokes. We also have adult Learn to Swim program, and in 2019 we had 273 enrollments in our adult Learn to Swim programs. There are oftentimes adults who, through life just never had the opportunity to take part in swim lessons for whatever reason, and this is something that we want to make sure, again, they have the opportunity to learn this life skill. So once an individual gets the basics of swimming, swimming then becomes a sport. So we get them comfortable in the water, we get them learning how to swim. Now they want to learn to swim a little bit faster. They want to be more efficient. They want to be able to swim further. As they learn to swim better and swim further, now they want to know, can I swim faster than you or you? So we get into some of the stroke development and refinement. This is where we are enhancing their performance of the stroke so that they are more efficient, so that their endurance increases. This is where we have our stroke clinics and our stroke refinement. 34 years ago, the City of Raleigh started the Intra-City Swim Association, or the ICSA, or we also call it the ICST, Intra-City Swim Teams. Each of the City of Raleigh's aquatic facilities has an ICSA swim team, and they compete against each other throughout each season of the year, our fall, winter, spring, and summer. This is, as Billy mentioned, kind of our little league for competitive swimming. We'll talk a little more about competitive swimming because Raleigh is kind of a hotbed for the competitive swimming in the area. And we realized there was a gap between learning to swim and then swimming on the elite competitive level that our club teams provide. And ICSA kind of fit right in between that. It provides an introduction to competitive swimming, a step below joining a U.S. competitive swim team. And in 2019, we had 980 enrollments in our intercity swim team. So, to deliver our instructional programs, as Billy mentioned, we have water safety instructors. This is the Red Cross's swim instructor. We have 26 water safety instructors, and for those 26 instructors, when you think back to the 3,600 enrollments, that's about 138 participants for each one of those instructors to teach during the year. That's quite a few participants. We obviously, you know, as the job market transitions, we have some that go off to school or transition into different opportunities or full-time positions. So we need to grow more water safety instructors. Fortunately, on our staff, we have 4 water safety instructor trainers. That means we can teach the water safety instructor course and grow more swim instructors. That's a 34-hour American Red Cross course where we teach the individuals, make sure that they have the swimming skills necessary to be able to teach the strokes, but also introduce them to different ways that they can teach that psychomotor skill to young children, to adolescents, to adults, anyone across that board, across the spectrum.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you talk about 980 intra-city swim members, historically, different sections of our community were not provided access to swimming. And do you all have any particular programs or efforts to make sure that there is equity in the participation across the different pools and looking at the
Sure. Yes. So we have the intra-city swim team is at all of our facilities, and we actively make sure that we have the coaching resources to meet whatever the demand for enrollment is. So we're always going to make sure that we have the coaching staff necessary to provide that, as well as our Learn to Swim programs are offered at all of our City of Raleigh facilities, and we want to make sure that we have that set up so that each has the
And
opportunity.
I guess part of my question is, do you see greater demand at some pool? If you're meeting the demand, and that's fabulous, but are there things that the city can or should be doing to increase demand at some of the pools?
We work diligently to try and make sure that we utilize all of our resources through the Leisure Ledger and through the website to make sure that these are out there. We've had some different things. One of the things that we participate in is the world's largest swim lesson, where it's kind of a national program. Obviously, it's kind of been put on hold for the past few years, but we hope to return to that to get kind of that larger audience and make sure that it's available to all of those. We've looked at some different things. I know in the past we've had opportunities for like a free swim day, and where we bring in the opportunity for them to do short little educational pieces and stuff like that. And those are some things that I hope for us as we kind of exit from our COVID and return to normal operations to be able to jump back into exploring some of those different opportunities.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Was there a swim team that operated at Chavis before it closed?
Yes, ma'am. Chavis had an intra-city swim team during the time that facility was open as well. Yes, ma'am.
And did it get relocated somewhere else?
So it kind of got absorbed into the other facilities around that area. So a lot of the participants basically from the location were either absorbed into the Biltmore or into the Pullen Aquatic Center, just based off of the proximity of that facility.
Okay.
So here you see some of our instructional programs. This is kind of our traditional program. On the left, you see Wayne Rogers. He's actually worked for our program since 2008. He's a phenomenal Learn to Swim instructor. He teaches our kids all the way to our adults and has had a great following of participants. He's conducting, obviously, a youth-level swim class. On the right, you see us teaching an adult class, and this is a good picture. I like this picture because specifically, it shows you what that progression is of learning that psychomotor skill. The individual on the left has the flotation under their hips so that they're not worried about, oh my gosh, I'm sinking, I got to focus on staying above the water. The flotation provides that service so that they aren't worried about sinking. They're focusing on, what are my arms doing? What are my legs doing? Am I able to focus on that rather than I just need to keep myself on the top of the water? The individual on the right has progressed and is now working on developing the efficiency of their stroke. They're comfortable with locomotion. Now they're working on the efficiency of their stroke. In this, you see us where we have ICSA, I believe, is on the left, an intercity swim practice. We have the kids circle swimming. You got the kid on the left coming this way, the kids on the right going that way, and the kid in the middle, I think he's a superstar. He's passing the ones on the right, trying to get ahead of them. And on the right, we have a swim clinic where we kind of have them grouped together and we work on specific drills and skills to improve the efficiency of their strokes. So, talking about health and wellness, I'll get to these pictures in just a moment because when you look at health and wellness with regards to aquatics, a lot of people like to swim laps, and we make sure that we offer lap swim throughout the day at all of our facilities. We try to have at least several lanes always available for the general public to come in, either using their membership or paying gate admission at the door, and choose to swim laps. Usually we have 3 to 5 lanes or more available throughout the day. It just depends on what the demand is and how we are being programmed at that time. Other individuals who don't necessarily lap swim do choose to use the water or the lap lanes for water walking or self-directed exercise in the water. This is very popular because this exercise where you're water walking or water jogging, water provides 12 times the resistance that the air does. And if you're in chest deep water, it diminishes the impact of gravity on your joints by about 70%. Ask your doctor. He's like, well, if you're having joint issues, go get in the water, go to the pool. It lessens the impact on your joints, but provides you additional strength training and resistance by being in the water and moving against the water. So lap swimming and water exercise or water walking are very popular, and water walking also definitely has a social element because we have some of our water walkers who kind of get together and they talk, they do a few laps and chat, So we definitely embrace both the physical and the social aspects of enjoying that type of exercise. What you see here are our water exercise classes. On the left is the Joint T. It's an arthritis class. Again, this is a class that is designed to utilize water in the sense that it diminishes the impact on joints. This class focuses on expanding range of motion. It's held in a warm water pool at Pullen Aquatic Center, which is about 88, 89 degrees. That relaxes the muscles, the joints, the ligaments, and allows for them to increase that range of motion. On the right, you see a class that's called Power Hour. It's conducted in our deep water at Pullen Aquatic Center. They also do it in the deeper water at Optimus Pool. This can be as intense of a class as you'd like, or you can have it a more moderate level, but it is definitely intended to be a more intense water aerobics class. depending on the intensity level that you want, the instructors do a fantastic job of offering various movements. This is your easy movement. This is your mid-range movement. This is your high-intensity movement. And as well as providing either float belts, the use of it, or the not having the use of it to increase the intensity in the water. Did you have a question?
Oh, no, sorry.
I'm going to trust I can keep that there. Not knock it down. Competitive swimming, as I mentioned earlier, is another one of our communities. We obviously have our intra-city swim team, which is that introduction to the competitive aspect. But the city of Raleigh, as I mentioned, is a place where competitive swimming is very popular. In this area, in Raleigh alone, there are 6 club teams that compete on a national and Olympic level. The city of Raleigh rents lanes to 4 of those teams. There are 3 youth teams, and the Raleigh Area Masters is a team for adults. We host approximately 7 large-scale swim meets each year for these teams that bring in other meets from multiple states along the East Coast, where they're working on qualifying times for either regional, national, or Olympic meets. In addition to the club teams, as Billy had mentioned just a few moments ago, we offer space for the Wake County Public School System for many of the Raleigh high schools in the area, as well as some of the private and charter schools. Also included with that on the competitive level is Pullen Aquatic Center, where we have our 1-meter diving boards, host the North Carolina High School Athletic Association regional and state finals, which actually just happened last week. Some other community connections that we have. Summer camps, as you guys can probably remember, growing up, you go to camp. Going to the pool was a big part of that. We want to make sure that every City of Raleigh camp that we offer has the opportunity to go to our aquatic facilities, both our summer camps and our track out camps that go throughout the year. They all have the opportunity and make visits to our aquatic facilities. Once we've booked all of our internal City of Raleigh camps, we open up the opportunity to outside camps so that they can also have the enjoyment of coming and spending some time in the City of Raleigh pools. We have worked with Raleigh Fire Department and other specialized rescue teams that utilize Pullen Aquatic Center for some swiftwater rescue drills and activities to work on their exercises. The Air Force, Navy, and Marines use our facilities to test recruits to make sure that they have the basic swimming skills necessary to enlist in the armed forces. The NC State football team has done a team building several years at Pullen Aquatic Center, and this is conducted by a group of ex-Navy SEALs. It's pretty intense to see them working together and doing some of their team building exercises. And as I mentioned, Wake County Public High Schools and some of the private charter schools practice at our facilities, as well as our North Carolina High School Athletic Association diving and the swim meets. Yes, ma'am.
Are we targeting those groups for recruitment for?
Absolutely. Okay. Yes, ma'am. We've sent out several emails to all of our high schools, and I actually jumped outside of just the ones that come to City of Raleigh facilities. I obviously have a contact with the athletic director for all of Wake County, and I sent it to every single Wake County public school, all the way from Wake Forest to Fuquay, wherever, because I don't know what their living arrangements are. If they come close to a Raleigh pool, I'd love to capture them for as a lifeguard.
And do you have any results of that outreach to see how many people?
Not at this time. Again, this was our first year that we were targeting that, and we're trying to make sure that in our SAVE program, we're capturing how did you hear about the program, where did you get that from, so that we can start developing some results of this was phenomenally successful. This didn't yield as many results. That way, as we move forward, we can target where we're putting our efforts to maximize our results.
That's great. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I just want to ask a question. So you were saying, I know you send it to the athletic directors. Mm-hmm. Do you also send it to the school counselors?
Yes, ma'am. We do have a database of the, I'm trying to remember the name of it, the job, basically the job counselors. There's usually counselors at most high schools.
Oh, your CTE, your CDCs, those people that help with career development.
That's exactly what yes,
okay.
ma'am. And we send it out to them as well.
Because like you just said, all of us aren't athletes. So if you lean toward the coach, it's kind of like church. You send it to this group, that group doesn't get it. So if you send it to the counselors as well as the athletics, then you're covering everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
I like the
Absolutely.
water. I'm cute in the suit, but I'm not that great a swimmer. But I still like to be included.
Absolutely. Any other
Can we
questions?
get that quote and put it on a T-shirt for you? Any other questions?
I have one question. Do you educate when you're doing these classes on things like riptides and whatnot?
Red tides?
Riptides.
Riptides. Not so much with our training, because the Red Cross lifeguard training is a non-surf training. U.S. Life Saving Association is where you get into oceanfront and tide types. So we don't go into rip currents and things of that. We talk more kind of weather and things like that they may encounter outdoors, but not specifically riptides.
Okay. So they're not like even any sort of preparation for just water outdoors and bodies of water, things like that.
Not through the lifeguarding. Now, when we go into our Learn to Swim programs, all of our Learn to Swim programs have an aspect of water safety that is mandatory. We go over boating safety. We go over fitting a life jacket. We go over talking about briefly some of the different hazards at the ocean front, such as marine life and currents and things of that nature. So in that vein, yes, we do touch on that in our water safety presentations.
Okay, that's very cool. It's really amazing to hear that. I didn't grow up with anything like this. I grew up being baptized by riptides on the coast, but swim lessons in a pool, an outdoor pool. That's all we had. I'm from Kill Devil Hills on the coast, and so this breadth is like, this is incredible. It's nothing like I ever saw.
Right. Thank you.
sorry.
Carol. No.
How do you guys like reward and retain the staff that you already have? Do you do like appreciation parties, or how are they kind of kept in? And do you have any sort of referral bonus program for people who bring in other people?
Yes, ma'am. We've done all of those. We've had a referral program, and we stepped through the process of making sure HR was on board with that. All our I's were dotted and T's were crossed to do that. We also had a retention bonus that was as a separate effort to do to hold on to staff based upon the number of hours that they worked over the summer or through that period of time. Amongst our staff, we have a morale and retention committee where we specifically focus on what are the trends? What things are going on? Where can we beg, borrow, and steal programs or ideas from other municipalities or other areas? Some of the things that we've done, everything from just getting bags of popcorn, microwave popcorn to deliver to the pools, ice, popsicles that we throw in the freezers at each of the pools, just the little things that we can say, hey, thanks. It's the little things that they often remember that you took the time and effort to make sure. And we don't just get the cheap popsicles, you get the good ones. Don't get the ones that are like watered down. You get the ones that taste good, that they're like, man, y'all didn't skimp on this, you did it right. It's that kind of thing that's the attention to detail that I think some of our staff appreciate and realize we really do appreciate what they do for us.
Yeah, totally. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions?
Can I ask one more?
Sure.
What is the pay range for lifeguards now? You're projecting on your upcoming season, right?
Yes, ma'am. So lifeguards start at $13 an hour, and which is moving to $14 an hour. That has been approved. I've just not made it public with my staff yet because we don't have an implementation date. In progress, yeah. So I haven't been quite public with that until I can say on this date it will change. So we're at 13. It will be going to 14. For our pool managers, which are our Swiss Army knives, they're at 15 and going to $16 an hour. Yes, ma'am. All right.
Great. Any other questions? These have all been very interesting. Thank you very much, Aaron.
Absolutely,
Thank you,
and thank
Billy.
you so much
Thank
for
you.
letting us be here today.
Beverly, if you'll give me just a minute, I want, Aaron, thank you, Billy and Aaron. Two things I just want to make sure I heard that get qualified. So we've always reached out to our school systems. What Aaron was saying is we're now trying to track our recruitment efforts so we can quantify which ones are having success and which ones are not. So I don't want everybody to think, oh my gosh, you just started using school systems this year. Been a constant recruitment strategy for us. And while Aaron kind of went back in different areas, specifically to your question, Beverly, about equity. So when he talked about the Intercity Swim Association, that's using all of our pools. A lot of that focus is in the summer. So we have swim teams at Biltmore. We have swim teams at Longview. We have swim teams at all those places. And we want those kids coming out of the community. So we work with community groups. One of the really cool things when we did the job fair last year at Pullen, Mom brought a whole van from Biltmore, was like, I need my community pool open. So she got the kids that swam there to come try out to be lifeguards. The summer camps that he talked about, a lot of those are coming out of, I'm just going to say, like towns like Garner, where they don't have a lot of community pools. So we are really able to expose those areas that don't have the neighborhood pool. We are the neighborhood pool. And that's how we're able to provide that experience for them. And that doesn't bleed into scholarships. And we want to make sure all of our kids get through the pools as well, because we think lifelong basic water safety is just a critical component. If we can expose them when they're young, then we just hope that opportunity will feed into something else they want to do. Just wanted to kind of wrap that up a little bit more concisely for you.
Thank you. Appreciate
Ken
it.
pointed out something for everybody to realize. We pretty much provide swimming for Wake County. The schools, Ken was in the meeting when we met years ago. The schools said, we're never going to build a pool. You're going to provide lanes for our high schools. And if you think about it, they build football stadiums and baseball stadiums. They do not build something that has a life skill associated like this. So we're happy to do so. But also Rollsville, Garner, Wendell, we provide aquatics for a majority of Wake County. So, yeah.
And one other thing I didn't mention in our presentation, but again, thinking back to our recruitment piece, our intra-city swim team, I mean, literally, we're trying to take them from cradle to grave in the sense that we want to keep them in our program. So all of those kids that have been on the intra-city swim team, those are also part of our emailing list where we're sending it out. Hey, we're looking for lifeguards. You know, typically we get them up to about the 14, 15-year age. And then they kind of trickle off, not as many in the 16, 17, 18 in this intra-city swim team. But we certainly say, hey, would you like to come make some money? If you're not interested in swim team, we'll pay you to come back to the pool. Come on. So we certainly target those as well as all of our Learn to Swim, because maybe that kid who's 8 years old isn't ready but has an older brother or older sister. So we utilize those opportunities to let those people know. We loved having you at the facility, but we want to have you back. Come lifeguard. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Right, let's see. Approval of the minutes for of the last meeting. I did have one question when I read them. In the director's report from the 12:22 minutes, it said, we're welcoming you as the board liaison.
I'll look back at it, or we can strike it.
I read that too.
I didn't think of you as the board liaison, but that's what was the wording. So anyway, but otherwise, with that correction, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I would.
Okay, and a second. And all in favor?
Aye.
There we go. Director's report was emailed to you, but I'm sure that Stephen wants to highlight
Sure.
some
And I
things.
have some hard copies of. I don't have 15 because I do not like to print a lot. Yeah, I'll just highlight a couple just to keep progress going. The council approved, so Dix Park is now the host location for the 4th of July. We are very thankful that we have a media partner that's agreed to give us $100,000 in cash. That is the local ABC affiliate, ABC 11. $100,000 in cash and $100,000 in in-kind sponsorship. So it's a pretty robust agreement. As you know, that we do not just do recreational type activities, so we are going to partner with the new Wake Legal Support Center, if they are willing, so that we could host them to provide free legal guidance to members of our community. The council recently approved a $50,000 contribution to the Wake Legal Support Center. Going through a few others, we are going to have 5 locations across the city as an interim opportunity to support the CACs. They are listed in your packet of materials. We will also work with, we are doing a lot of great collaboration with the Office of Community Engagement, Taisha Hitton's team, and as she develops a community engagement network, we will be a part of that system so that we can support groups, not only the CACs, but nonprofits and others, so that they can help build capacity within our community. And I believe that time frame is 6 to 12 months to bring back to the city council. And then I like to highlight some of the great things staff's doing. We had got a lot of requests early in January. We are doing a lot of events over the course of 2023 to honor the Year of the Trail in North Carolina. And recently, our mayor signed a proclamation that we will share with that organization. We've hosted job fairs. We had a really exciting event at the City Museum called Timeless Collections. It was a lecture series. Let's see, Lumino City will be reaching out to you about tickets, but we are going to host a lantern festival starting this weekend at Pullen Park. So it is privately put on. It is a ticketed-based event, and the park closes at night. So essentially, this private company is renting the park from us at night, and you pay for tickets. But I will reach out to you all about tickets if you'd like them. So. And we have participated and supported the planning department on a really important conversation related to zoning called the Missing Middle. And we've hosted them at multiple parks from Barwell Road to Dix Park. I participated in the one this week at Sertoma Arts Center. We have put on the calendar our Earth Day event on April 21st. And then Charles has put in some really cool opportunities, and I think Marcia is featured in one of the pictures at Joslyn Garden. From invasives to tree plantings to doing a workshop with our stormwater department. So lots of great things going on the last month. Yes, Ms. Love.
I'm sorry. Is it February 18th Saturday?
Yes, I said this weekend.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
It begins on Friday?
It says Friday, but
Oh,
I think
sorry.
Does it mean it starts Friday or it starts Saturday?
I would have to confirm whether it's Friday or Saturday. I am not sure which one. I just know it was this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
But we can check the website and then
Yes.
be there.
Yep. Yes, this company is out of New York, and they have done this in multiple cities across the United States. They essentially rent public space at night in the winter because most parks are closed at night, and provide these unique, I think it is an Alice in Wonderland
It's
theme.
really cool.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
yeah.
I say that not because I've gotten a preview, but I run past it all the
Oh,
time.
yeah, they've already set up. People
They've
are like,
set it
what
up
is
so
going
you
on?
can see it during the
Yeah.
daytime. It's,
Yes.
it's actually pretty neat.
That's a great point.
It's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure. I knew
It's a
which
lot.
Yeah.
A lot of your
Yeah.
large charts.
Yeah. So, that is my report.
Kids seem to love it though. Riding
All
the
right.
train, they can see it during the daytime. Yeah.
That's cool. Great. And thank you, Stephen, for that. And Parks Committee, well, as you know, we're operating as Committee of the Whole for Parks Committee until July, so that we can all understand and participate jointly in the information about the master planning, which did not happen tonight. Fred Fletcher Volunteer Committee, we've heard a little bit of a preview. It's actually not public information.
There we go. My tablet was not cooperating, so I'm trying to find this information off my phone. This is probably better. All right, so all of our award recipients have agreed to accept their award, and we're very excited. We now have a Parks Board presenter sign-up sheet, which I will circulate this evening. And a good amount of us are here, so if I could please direct your attention to it in a timely manner. We have to get those matched up with Parks Board members pretty quickly, and that way we can move forward with Mary's timeline. So if within the next week, if we could get those all covered, that would be great. And then, so I'm going to do that when I get home. I was hoping to have my tablet pulled up to let you all do it here, but it's not cooperating. The Parks presenter sign-up sheet also links back to committee information. It's a committee information document that has more details about what it means when signing up to present. And that will also give you prompts and things like that so that it gives you some guidance on what kind of talking points to utilize when you do meet with these award recipients. So you're not going in blindly. We're not expecting you to learn interviewing skills on the spot. We'll give you a guide. So you will need to sign up in the yellow column, which will be clear when you're looking at it. And as a reminder, all presenters will be asked to contact their award recipient. It'll be starting mid-March until mid-April, so we have a month's time to connect with these individuals. This will give staff, Mary Owens is our point on this, time to meet with all the recipients at the March 3rd photo day and explain to them who will be reaching out to them. So we want to have all that covered. So she'll have that full list on March 3rd can give them that. That committee information document has a section about presenting, which has some starter questions, as I mentioned, for presenters to use when speaking with award recipients. These questions will help you write your introductory speech as well. Between 1 and 2 minutes is the perfect length, so you don't need to overdo it or overthink it. If you have any other questions or issues with the documents, they are Google Docs. Literally, you would just click on the link and it'll pop up and you can access it, whether it's on your phone or your cooperating tablet or your other devices. When I get home, I will email it to you all. So if you could please be watching your email for that, and we can get folks matched up and moving along with the process. So it was great that Jeff and Chris and Beverly and I were able to meet, and we understand that others had conflicts, and so we all have busy lives and totally respect that. But here we are we're at phase 3. The matching, and then phase 4 is the execution when we have the celebration on May 9th. So make sure you have that on your calendars too. I think that should cover it.
Yeah, I think you did. And I want to say that it really, we're so lucky in this community to have the kind of people who volunteer in our parks, who do so many different jobs to help make the system work together. And so it was lots of fun to read the nominations, and it was, tough to decide on some of those choices. And so we're really privileged to be able to honor them. And just because some of you may not have been to a Fred Fletcher Awards, let me just give you a little quick synopsis. The people who won these awards will be there, and what Lindsay will send out is you can pick one of the people and then get to know them a little bit, and then you will introduce them at the event, which will be at the A.J. Fletcher Theater down at downtown. And so it's a lovely, we'll have a dessert reception afterwards, and it's a grown-up affair.
It's family friendly, but
it's a very it's toast worthy of the. Festive is the word. Thank you, Carol. That's what I was looking for. I think people leave there feeling honored, and that's our goal. So so your conversations before then are your way of personally thanking them. And so Lindsay will get us all signed up for that. So thank you. Greenway Committee, we had an extensive discussion on signage package, but we also had a really interesting update. I pulled it up for the completion of projects and things that are under construction and in design. And if you know where Walnut Creek goes over along Avon Ferry near Centennial Campus, that project at Trailwood Drive is completed now. The Crabtree Creek, what was the Z Bridge, is now completed. The Little Rock Trail, which I think was the most hazardous bridge in the city of Raleigh, it is now safe. Lakeland, the East Loop has been done. The West Loop is part of the bond that just passed. There's been lots of trail surface markings. Tunnel lightings are underway. Connections at Industrial Drive and Vintage Drive are both in construction. The Trenton Road, so I'm going through these quickly because many of us have seen presentations on some of these over the last couple of years. And so it's nice to know that they've gone from being a line on a PowerPoint to actually being completed. Trenton Road is out near the Umstead, thank you, and connecting over across I-40. And so that connection is under construction now. Crabtree Creek West, which is the biggest Greenway undertaking of this current decade, anyway, of the 20s, we'll have about 3 or 4 bridges, one of them a suspension bridge, that goes from Lindsay Drive, where Crabtree Creek ends currently, out to connect to Umstead. So you will be able to go from Umstead Park to the Neuse River on Crabtree Creek Greenway. If we get the signs right. But they're looking, and then there's a number of other projects that are being designed, but I thought that the completion and the construction part of that was really important. On the sign package, I just want to clarify with Stephen that the staff is proceeding with the trailhead and the kiosk, but not proceeding with the directional signs at this point.
Yeah, that's what they shared with you at the meeting. Since I wasn't there, I can't confirm it. But
well, they're not here either because they're sick.
Yeah. But what we did talk about is take the recommendation that you had brought forward to look at those maps with people outside of staff to get like a fresh look at some of them.
Yeah.
So,
and one of the things that I noticed in long ride I did yesterday, and it's almost an issue prior to signs, is there are when you look at our Greenway map, it's like a yellow brick road and it all looks contiguous, and it's not. And there are places where, like Van has said, if you know it, you can put it maybe 2 blocks, it may be 150 feet apart. But if you don't know it, then we don't have a way of connecting. And so I know some other cities have things. I've seen a place in Chapel Hill, not all of Chapel Hill, mind you, just one area, where they had the green paint to help you connect from here to there. It's those gaps. And I think that is almost that addresses some of the signage issues, because right now where we need the signage is where you can't figure out that missing piece. It's not, and when you look at our Greenway map, and we were told in our committee meeting that the city cannot put the app on it's on the Cary website, but it's not on the City of Raleigh website. Just saying. And so those are the kinds of issues that I think maybe staff can come back to us with some ideas about that connectivity, so that and then we can better figure out signs. Anyway, that's it. And on to the sustainability, wildlife, and urban trees, which I actually attended that one too.
So we had several visitors that came. It's great when we have visitors that show up. Thank you. We are continuing for the second year to have the Tree of the Year contest where citizens can nominate by photograph a tree that's visible from the street. It can't be a tree that's in a backyard or behind a building. It has to be visible from the street. And so those nominations will be opening up soon. And we'll have it'll be for Arbor Day that we'll be celebrating the Tree of the Year. People can vote. And so if there's trees in your community, your neighborhood, or that in a park that you particularly find interesting, consider taking a photograph and nominating it. So that's the biggest thing to share from that committee meeting.
Great.
One question. Is there any requirements for the photograph in terms of size or format?
No, that's a great question. There is not. They're just your digital photograph, and the city will have a specific website that'll go up soon where you can submit your pictures.
Yep, it'll be listed on that website if there's any restrictions. Yeah, because some are larger file case or the file type, and I don't think there is any restrictions, but we'll put that on the webpage when we share it with you all.
And you may be interested, since you work at NC State, the winner of the tree of the year last year was the ginkgo tree in front of the park building.
There were other ginkgo trees that were also nominated last year. So anyway, it's part of what we talked about is whether to have, some stipulations that a tree that's won once cannot win again. So anyway, this is the second year, and one of the things that we're wanting to do is to help promote our trees and celebrate our trees, because heaven knows Raleigh loves its trees, and we all depend on the trees. If you've heard me say that many times.
There was a good article in the News and Observer today that Zach was interviewed pretty thoroughly.
A great article.
Yes.
Yes. Zach did a great job.
Well, and related
Who was
to
Zach?
Zach is our
I'm sorry.
Urban
Yes,
forester.
Zach Manor. Yep, Zach Manor.
Not a person on our board that you missed. Actually, tonight there is a meeting about the new bridge over the Beltline at connecting Barrett Drive and St. Albans, and I've looked at the three proposals, and one of them appears to wipe out a substantial amount of tree canopy. So I was going to suggest that your committee look at that issue further and understand, because I'm just looking at some pictures, but maybe get some further information and make a recommendation to our board so that we can.
Thank you.
Call Adam Wagner at the N&O.
Well, there are lots of ways we can approach it, but I think having your committee study it and come back with a recommendation would be helpful.
Thank you, Beverly.
Yes, ma'am. All right, BPAC. So there was, that was, I know the next meeting is next week. It was whatever the right date was in January. I didn't write the date down. But there was a lot of requests for a pedestrian bridge over Capitol Boulevard connecting 5 Points and Mordecai and Howe Atlantic, and how what a jumble that is. There was an update on the bike lane sweepers that the city has now acquired. There was conversation about leaf collection. I don't think there's any place in the city where leaf collection doesn't impact everybody, but it definitely impacts on areas where there are bike lanes. And the Oberlin Road is getting ready to be repaved, and we'll have bike lanes associated with that. And
Can I jump in with just a quick question?
Sure.
Who makes the decision to put bike lanes in?
It's a great question. So In our transportation department, we have a unit that is the bike and pedestrian unit. That group will work with BPAC, and they'll make recommendations, and a lot of it is based off the Raleigh bike plan. How are we connecting like a bikeable location to maybe a Greenway or a work center? They formulate those, they take it to BPAC, then it would go into the budget, and then the Raleigh City Council would be the ultimate decision maker, saying, yes, I want to fund that project at that location.
There's also a policy that anytime a road is repaved, pretty much they paint a bike lane in it, and it doesn't mean they're safe.
It's considered a part of every road, and they determine whether not every road has it, but it's a part of the decision-making process. So if they just repave and restripe, they will look to determine whether we put in bike lanes. I don't know the specific criteria they use, but Beverly's right. Yeah.
It's pretty much if you get repaved, you get repaint, you get a bike lane, which is I'm going to learn more about that because I've only been on the BPAC for 2 meetings or 3, but it is a question that because so many of our roads that have bike lanes are not really safe biking facilities, just having a white stripe.
And I am curious, there are times when bike lanes are painted in where I think a center turn lane would be more effective for traffic management. And I've often wondered who makes that judgment call, right? Because sometimes you put a bike lane in but I never see bikers using the bike lane, and you see traffic backed up because nobody can take a left turn. And so I've often wondered,
It's definitely transportation, and within transportation is bike ped. They
Makes
do,
sense.
like Beverly said, they'll go through BPAC and say, these are the ones we want to do.
Yeah.
But in almost every road project, she's right, it's
Yeah.
either there, or if it's not, there's like a Capitol Boulevard. I don't think you would put it on there. So,
yeah.
Well, they put it on Atlantic.
right.
Yeah, seriously.
Won't find me biking there. Anyway, there is a new bike share location at Brookside over there in Mordecai. So that was good to hear about. And Raleigh, City of Raleigh Historic Cemeteries Commission, do we have?
What about the Arts
Madam
Commission?
Chair, you skipped Arts Commission and
Oh,
PADB.
I am so sorry. My apologies. I just jumped. I'm on a roll. Chris.
That is all right. I don't have much of a report because the CORAC meeting is this coming Tuesday, so a lot of the events have already occurred. There is a Nuv Yug cultural organization putting on an India Fest, and that's going to be in March, the 18th and the 19th, and it's going to be at the Jim Graham building at the fairgrounds. So if people want to go out, there's going to be food, there's going to be dancing, there's going to be art and music.
What's the name?
March 18th and 19th, which I believe is a weekend.
Great. Thank you for Raleigh. I think Charles moved up. There you are. Historic Cemeteries Commission.
I don't know if you want to thank the council members.
Oh, goodbye, Councilmember Patton. Thank you for being here. That's all right. We appreciate that you were here for the time you were. It was fabulous. Thank you.
Good night.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. I am Charles Craig, Raleigh Park's Assistant Director. I'm still getting used to saying that, But I stand before you to give the Historic Cemetery Advisory Board report. I'm happy to report that the board is full. We have all 7 members, and that is a major accomplishment. I do want to announce that we have 2 new members. Once again, I did announce this last time, but Allison Kugel is one of our new members, and Curtis Archer is our 2nd new member. For the month of March, we are going to focus on a board training. The board training will be for the entire board. We have some great synergy going on. We have new members, and I think it's great to have a refresh for everyone. With that being said, for the month of March, we're also going to focus on really looking at our work plan, our committees, and our initiatives. Whenever there's new people coming, there's coming with new ideas and just new energy, and we want to be able to hear that, take that feedback, and see how we can grow. With that being said, the next meeting will be March 23rd at 5:30 p.m. at the Tucker House. Thank you.
Thank you. Dick's Leadership Committee meeting, it's week after next. And there was a Dick's Park Summit. I know that Bob attended yesterday and Marcia attended. If you all want to share anything, we will get an update on all the projects. We now have built into our calendar a quarterly report from Kate Pierce, who is the city staff person who works directly with Dick's Park, and she will update us on all those projects. But if you all have anything you want to add.
I would say I'm surprised there weren't more people there than I knew, but there were, I was there early, on the early end. It just interests me. Anything with Dick's interests me. I was fascinated by that water pipe project that's going to go through there. It's big. All the way to Pullen Park, folks.
Yes, you asked about that, and I can share. So from Pullen to Bain, we have a water station at Pullen Park, and then the Bain former treatment. Well, actually, it's still a treatment plant. That is a project that will come right through Dick's Park. Yeah. And the chair asked, will support Dick's Park? We will have taps with off that large distribution that we can use for the park. So there is a benefit to the park, but it is a redundancy line. So the engineers within water utilities actually realized we had insufficient water pressure with some of the development going on. So this is going to add a redundancy between the university and downtown over to the Bain, near, I guess it's near downtown south, that area. So.
Marcia already mentioned it, but I think that was the biggest realization I had, was the significance of the public works improvements. I mean, the water line, I believe, is 30-inch water line. It's very large.
It's a large distribution line.
It comes all the way
Yes.
from Fayetteville Street over to, the area across South Saunders, meandering Maywood through the park and up through Pullen.
Yes.
So it's a significant. It's
Yes.
a significant project.
Yeah.
That's going to improve my water pressure.
I hope it improves mine.
It's going to be a challenge for the people living in those areas too over there. because,
Maywood area and so forth.
Some of those streets are not real wide in the residential areas, and to dig a hole for a 30-inch pipe is a
It's a
pretty
big
good
undertaking.
size
Yes.
hole in the ground. So we need to try to make sure those people are advised. I'm involved with Southwest, and I had no idea of the significance of that project. We're going to ask Public Works to come out and talk to us about the entire route.
That's great.
Of those in
Yeah.
the future. It's not tomorrow, but in the near future we'll do it.
Great.
Thank you.
So, yeah, and they've surveyed every tree in the park that they would remove. Some of them were planned to go anyway because of the landfill. But there are a few oaks that would go around the big field that they'd have to remove. So.
I remember a thing about the trees that's really interesting. They're the oak trees that have already come down. The wood is being used to make furniture that will go in the offices. How about that?
That's cool.
That's really good.
Well, it should be used for public use too, not just in
Now,
offices.
I don't know. Well, it goes back into the park. So we're working with like Raleigh Reclaimed and a few others to
good.
repurpose some. We did it at Moore Square. We have there's some tables and so forth in the historic house next to Moore Square.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yes.
Speaking of Moore Square,
Yes.
the efforts that you made to preserve those trees, how are they doing?
We've lost a few. Yeah. Most of them are. Yeah. We haven't determined if it's construction related because one got hit by lightning, so it split it right down the second. So we've lost a couple in storms. I don't know the exact amount, but we have lost a few. Yep.
Got to watch out for our trees. And, okay, let's see. Historic Resources and Museum Advisory Board. Who is the new? That's you?
Yeah, I went to the first meeting. And I hope I can do a good job like Jennifer did to be the liaison. I was pretty impressed with that board, the enthusiasm that the members have, and the difficulty they have in recruiting board members. So I say that in case any of you have a friend or an acquaintance that's interested. Thank you, Bob. Friends or acquaintances that are interested in Raleigh's history and preservation. They're very much would like to have a full contingency of board members. So they've talked about the new electric trolley. There's some enthusiasm about that. And funds were improved for the Top Green Center, and that was part of a bond project. So there will be that facility, which is not a very old community center, but it's going to have some upgrades for archival quality storage. So that's a good thing. As I learn more about this committee, I'll be happy to share.
Well, that's a great point, though. You know, as one of our jobs is the liaison with the community about our park system, and I think a lot of people don't realize that there is a separate board for all the historic properties that the city has that are under Parks and Recreation. And so do think about people who you know that are interested in that topic.
And I have some follow-ups. I'll send you a link. A really interesting fact is we've archived, I think it's 12,000 items that have historical relevance to the city, and you all can look at them online. So you can go and you can query by site or by people, and we have a little interface with our website. I can't remember the name of the software we use, but you go onto our city website, you click on this link, and it takes you, and you can search, if you like, search Chavis, and you can look at like all the historic photos we have and so forth.
So will the legacy efforts at Dick's be integrated?
Very intricate. So Ernie, I consider the Ernest Dollar, I consider the historian of the city. He works very closely with the Dix Park Legacy Committee, and their boards sometimes interchange participation.
Good. I had lunch with the chair of that committee today. It's an old friend. But very good. Thank you for your report on that. Chair comments. The only thing other than the trees at St. Albans and Barrett Drive is I was discussing with a friend who is working on invasive species removal at a park, and she's doing it through, you know, coordination, has a supervisor as a volunteer with in park staff. But she said that it's been interesting that she's been reported because she's cutting down things that she's supposed to be doing, and she's doing invasive species removal. And it was funny because she had mentioned that to me, and then I drove on, I think it was Banbury today, and there is a landscape architect who is putting in she's got a sign that says native plants are going in this yard, and it had an invasive species removal sign, and it described all about it. And at the bottom, I took a picture of it, of course, and it said the North Carolina Wildflowers.org. And I went to their website to see if you could buy that sign, because I think that it would be really helpful along the Greenway and along where when we have volunteer undertakings where we're destroying trees, but we're destroying the ones that are destroying the environment, that people could know and be informed about that process. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know whether I'm glad to provide you all with the photo I took today, but the city may want to come up with its own. But letting people know that those efforts are ongoing, I think, would be a value.
Wow.
So.
That's this time, but yes, we'll accept it.
Okay. Very good. That's all I have as chair. I'm just, down in the weeds here. Any other board comments, starting all the way? Let's start. If you have any questions or comments, and we'll just go around to see if anybody has.
I'm good for now.
Okay.
I have a few things. So I have someone who's been watching Parks Department for employment opportunities, and they told me that they noticed that I'm not entirely clear whether this was seasonal or ongoing part-time, but they noticed that the pay had increased from 12 to 15. So now they are going to apply, but that $12 was quite a turnoff before, and so I'm really glad to hear that it's gone up to 15. So this individual is either going to be applying for seasonal or part-time work and wants to be engaged, and now it's more worth their time and their credentials. So one is a compliment. Good job. Item two, I've been testing out a number of playgrounds recently with my tiny boss, and some other parents at the playgrounds and I were wondering if there was a way to sort, like you could filter park and center features on the website. And I tried, but I couldn't quite figure out, if you could filter parks that have playgrounds for ages 2 to 5. Something like that. I didn't see a sorting option for that. And so I was publicizing the other playground options that would be suitable for these demographics that we're looking. But when I tried to search myself, it didn't seem to be very user-friendly. And maybe there's an easier way, but I generally consider myself to be pretty tech-savvy, but I didn't find a filtering option. And it shouldn't take that long. So if there could be some kind of sorting option based upon ages or different amenities, I think that'd be which park centers have walking trails, for example.
Did you use Park Locator?
No, I think I went from the main Raleigh Gov website to then Parks Department, and then I was like, okay, it just took too long, and if it takes too long for the user journey, then you lose people.
Yeah. I'll send you the link to Park Locator. I am not sure whether it has all those filters on it, but if you click on the park, it'll tell you everything that has. I'm not sure about the filters, though.
Yeah, but then you have to go to each individual park and make your own list, and I've done that before because I'm pretty into hiking trails, but I don't have the time like I used to.
Yeah, I'll look. We actually have a park locator that you can sort, like where our picnic shelters are at, where our community centers are at, and it's a link on our website.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if it has all the way down to 2 to 5 year old play like that. Granular.
Because there are differentials when you look at the different centers and parks. I've spent lots of time looking at them. It'll have their features down below or on the sidebar, but it'd be nice for it to be a really user-friendly filter option. And apparently I was not the only individual trying to figure that out. So other parents are also looking for that. And the third item on my list here, I actually attended Triangle Land Conservancy's 40th anniversary event last night at the Science Museum, and I was really impressed with the way they opened their event with land acknowledgments, honoring the history and the land that they were occupying for their event. But then they also do something similar, I learned, at their various locations around the region. And so I wanted to recommend that the Parks Department looks into something to also honor and acknowledge the land that when we have these dedication ceremonies or things like that, honor that history, that heritage, the native land that is. I just think that'd be something really, really powerful. I was very impressed with the way they did that.
Yeah, that is a great recommendation at a public service like a ribbon cutting or groundbreaking.
Yeah.
That has been probably the last 3 to 4 years as a profession. I was in Philadelphia at a conference, and every location we went to, they spoke about who historically occupied this space. So happy to do so as we move forward with these public events, is acknowledging that we were on the lands of who. So,
Yeah,
yep.
because the woman last night, I learned so much. Just a little amount of time, the tiny human let me stay in the room for them. But like talking about the Okanichi tribe, and it was incredible. And so I think we should do more to honor that, and at things like Fisher Street Park dedication, things like that. So that's all I think for me.
Great list.
I was just going to ask how the letter turned out for the Smoky Hollow grant application. I might have missed that email update.
It was submitted.
It was submitted.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I made many of your changes, but I don't know whether.
Just wait, right?
Yeah. So it's been submitted. The city has submitted the grant, but we won't know anything on that for a while. Goodness knows how long. They didn't tell me. They just said, "Will you send out the letter?"
I can look. I believe, well, it goes from step to step. It'll go through the state review and then federal government review, but I'm not sure on the calendar.
Final letter.
Yeah, that'd be great. And Stephen, do we have any updates from our walk with the friends who live near Shelley Lake?
So we're going to bring to you all in March our
March.
recommendations. Yep, I've met with staff, and I'll meet with staff again next week.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Bob.
Good.
Good.
Marcia, I don't have, I need to say anything.
Yep, I'm good.
Yes, SWAT committee seems to have its agenda set for some time, so.
April. Van. All right. Well, then we can consider this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.